A lot of content creators do a lot of very thorough, in-depth, long-range tutorials, and they're very good. So if you want one of those, go watch one of them. Otherwise, I'm going to do a very quick tutorial, and everything I use will be in the description. So without further ado, let's get into it. So when you start the raid, there'll be a bunch of ads that spawn inside of them. You need to make sure you kill all of them. After killing all of them, get on your Sparrow and start heading to the right towards the payload. Once you're at the payload, you will start getting radiant darkness. If it hits 10, you will die. If you need to cleanse, just go back to the payload and it will cleanse you. Now, there will be ads all around the payload. You need to kill all of them and collect these floating fonts. When you pick them up, you will get a knowledge buff. When you get 3 knowledge buffs, you have overflowing knowledge, then you need to go back to the payload and bank. Once you have gotten enough of them, the payload will start moving and it moves very quickly. Keep up with it. Eventually it'll stop again and you'll just keep repeating until you get all the way to the end and you can go into the first encounter. For the Obelisk Encounter, you're going to want to make sure you have something unstoppable on, as there's going to be unstoppable enemies throughout the encounter. You are also going to want to have this layout that is going to be in the description. It is very useful until you learn the actual layout of the room. You're going to want to break into 3 teams of 2, each pair taking an obelisk around the room. You're then going to start the encounter by shooting the gate switch in the middle. It's the crystal. When you shoot it, it will open and close doors around the room. After doing this, enemies will spawn, specifically 2 orange or aberrant enemies. You need to repeatedly kill them as they are going to try to get to your obelisk and shoot it. If they shoot it or if you shoot it, it will start going up in timer. If it fills all the way up, it will wipe you. Shortly after, on one of the pillars in front of the obelisk, a symbol will appear at the very top. It is either going to be the traveler or a pyramid. If it's the traveler, it means the right side of the room. If it's the pyramid, it's the left side of the room. That corresponds to a taken spawning on that side of the room. You then need to go find the taken and kill it. If you kill it, the second symbol will light up on the pillar. That symbol corresponds to one of the rooms around the room. Figure out which room it is, and then have somebody go into that room. When they go into that room, 2 enemies will spawn, and the third symbol will pop up. That third symbol is either going to be light or dark. You need to kill the enemy that is under that symbol in that room, and it will spawn another glyph. What that glyph is, it's going to appear on one of your obelisks. At some point, another symbol is going to appear on another pillar, same taken, and then you just keep going until you have all 3 glyphs. Figure out which obelisk has all 3 glyphs on it. Then you guys all need to go to it, and you need to shoot all 3 symbols at the same time. It'll say gift accepted, and then you just rinse and repeat. Once you do this 3 times, you have finished this encounter. For the Caretaker Encounter, you're going to want 3 teams. The first team is going to be the crystal team. They're going to shoot the crystals and go into the room and pick up the fonts that have glyphs above them. You need to remember the 3 glyphs that you pick up, because you're going to have your partner open the door. You're going to come out, and then you are going to shoot all 3 glyphs at the same time. Then your partner is going to go in, pick up 3 glyphs, and do it until you have all 9 glyphs done. While this is happening, the second team is going to be dealing with the boss. One person needs to be in front of the boss, one person needs to be behind him. The person in front is going to punch him and bait his melee. He goes to melee him. You need to shoot him in the face, and then the person needs to shoot him in the back. This will stun him and prevent him from getting to the obelisk. If he gets to the obelisk, it will wipe you. The team is going to focus on ad control. They're going to specifically focus on the snipers and all of the missiles flying around in the air, as those missiles will kill you during the damage phase. At this point, all 9 lifts have been done, and now you're ready to start damage. So around the boss, there's going to be 3 discs on the floor. You need to go stand on the glowing disc, and that will start damage. Just unload on the boss until the next disc lights up. Go to the next disc, unload on the boss. Go to the third disc, unload on the boss, and that will finish the first damage phase. Then you need to go upstairs, rinse and repeat. Keep going until you get the boss's health all the way down. Once you get the boss's health all the way down, then you're going to be in a final room. That final room will have 3 discs in a row. You're going to do the exact same thing. Jump on the first one that lights up, do damage to the boss until the next one lights up, and keep doing that, and kill the boss. And that is that encounter. The Exhibition Encounter. You're going to want to break into 2 teams of 3. One team is generally going to stay left, one team is generally going to stay right. Make sure a couple of you have overload rounds as well. To be 3 artifacts you also need to deal with. You'll get 1 in the first room, 2 in the second, 3 in the third, and then you deal with all 3 of them in the final room. The first artifact is the actual artifact. that lets you shoot the taken knights that are shielded, and it will extend time. It also lets you read the glyphs dropped by the taken glyph gate. The second artifact is going to be the shield from the Vault of Glass raid. Just like in the Vault of Glass, we're going to use that shield to cleanse your allies as they're getting Pervading Darkness. If they get Pervading Darkness 10, they're going to die. The final artifact is the Eye of Riven. The person who picks up the Eye of Riven is going to cleanse taken barriers that are shielding enemies. You need to kill them as quickly as possible, so that way the rest of your team keep killing the enemies and proceed through the encounter. So to start the encounter, somebody's going to pick up the artifact. They're going to kill the taken knight, and the other people are going to kill the other 2 glyph keepers. The person with the artifact is going to read their 3 symbols that spawn above the taken gatekeeper. The other people are going to read 3 symbols above the scorn gatekeeper. Whichever symbol matches is the symbol you're going to shoot on the door. Then proceed to the next room. Whoever had the artifact now needs to put it down, and 2 different people need to pick up the next 2 artifacts. Then proceed into the rooms. 1 team goes left, 1 team goes right. Find your glyph keepers, kill them, get the symbols, figure out which ones match, kill the next glyph keepers, find the symbols who smash, shoot the door, rinse and repeat all the way until you're done the encounter. Okay, so the final encounter is probably the most complicated, so I'll explain it as quickly as possible. It's broken up into 2 parts. You have your main part, and then you have your DPS part. And the main part is broken up into 3 different roles. You have somebody dunking, you have people clearing ads, and you have people passing buffs. So to start the encounter, you'll walk up, and there'll be this giant orange aura. When you walk up to it, the encounter will start. The boss will hold a giant pillar over his head. You will shoot said pillar, and that will give that person leeching force. That person then needs to stand on this glyph right here. When they stand on this glyph, 2 smaller pillars will appear to the left and right of the main area. 2 other people located anywhere in the room can shoot those 2 columns while the person is standing here, and they will both get leeching force. The person who has it will not have any more, so it passes off 2 to 1. You always want to pass 2 to 1, make sure one person always has at all times. Now, while that's happening, the boss is going to be shooting giant lasers. One of the people with leeching force, the runner, is going to run up, hit the laser, and then he's going to get emanating force. That will allow him to walk through the orange area and be able to dunk the buff. Once that happens, a bunch of ads are going to spawn everywhere. There's going to be 2 specific ads. There's going to be a glyph gate and another kind of gate. Another glyph gate, whatever. You need to kill both of them. They will allow everybody to see all the glyphs. The person with the emanating force will see 3 glyphs here. He needs to read them out, 1 at a time, top to bottom. Once he reads those 3 out, people who don't have it need to read out their 3 glyphs here and compare. There will be a matching one on the 2. Figure out what the matching one is, and then you guys back here need to look at these 6 pillars around the room and tell him which one to go to. So if he has a black sun and a black sun, then you can tell him to go to like back right if it has it there. I would label these as either L1, L2, L3, or front left, mid left, back left, front right, mid right, back right. Once he dunks his buff, he will no longer have the buff, so then whoever has leeching back here needs to stand on this plate. He will shoot the 1 pillar, and then some other person will shoot the other one to then take the buff. So then that person is now the one with leeching. The person that's running will get step the laser again, go dunk. You'll rinse and repeat that up to 6 times to get all the way back to the boss. While that's happening, occasionally abominations will spawn. If you lose the buff, it's not a big deal. Another column will spawn in the middle. You just shoot that column and then just keep rinsing and repeating. Once you've cleared all 6, that will start the DPS phase. For the DPS phase, there are 4 pillars around the room, as you can see. So when it starts, the boss is going to start dashing around the room and attacking you. Occasionally, he will drop his glaive and turn it into a pillar. Once it turns into a pillar, somebody needs to shoot it and it will give them leeching force. Then that person needs to jump in front of the laser as you shoot him around them, and that will give them emanating. With them, you have to dunk at one of the 4 pillars around the room. The people who don't have and need to look around and tell him where to dunk. Once he dunks, the boss will have a crit spot that opens up. You shoot that crit spot and then rinse and repeat. Once you've dunked the ball 4 times, damage phase will start. Then you just need to stay alive and unload on the boss. If you do not kill him, you need to run back to spawn, or the orange rebel will push you out and kill you. Then just rinse and repeat everything you did before. Once you do enough damage to the boss that you get him down to the last bar of health, then you just need to unload on him and kill him before you hit Pervading Darkness 10. If it gets to 10, you wipe and start over. But that's the whole raid. Best of luck. And as I said before, all images and everything are in the descriptions below.